Well, welcome everybody. It's been a long time since we've had a community forum. Sorry for the delay, but I think everybody understands, hopefully understands, that it's been a trying almost 12 months now for me and my wife and what we're doing at the Living in Place Institute. But we are doing a lot of great stuff, and so today is an overview of the Living in Place Institute Idea Home. Basically for me, it's a phoenix rising from the ashes, both literally and figuratively. So forum rules, I think you've all been through this before in regards to what the forum's all about. Just basically, let's play it nice and all that. And all right, so here's a picture the day after the fire. And yes, we all know Colorado gets snow. But what you see there is not snow, it's ashes from the fire. This is more or less representative of our neighborhood. And on the right, that was what it looked like about let's see, probably 18 hours after the fire started at our home, along with many other homes. So a little brief history of it: hit December 30th of 2021, affected Louisville, Superior, and unincorporated Boulder County. It was a 6-hour duration fire. What ended up happening was that there was over 105-mile-an-hour winds that day, which is not out of the ordinary for us. We do get those sort of winds from time to time. Luckily, the wind died down because it could have easily gone through not only Louisville, but other communities to the east of us. But nonetheless, in that 6 hours, we lost 6,000 acres were burned. There was 1,084 homes that were destroyed. Unfortunately, there were 2 people who were died in the fire. Both of them were older individuals, but there were well over 1,100 more that had significant damage. For the most part, either smoke into their homes, or windows that broke, or siding that may have got charred. But it is the greatest single event loss of property in Colorado history. And so this is what my property looked like a day after all the fires started going out. And yeah, so over here, washer and dryer. Back here is a furnace. I mean, it's all these things that are there. And this is kind of my family. There's my wife. Many of you may have seen her. Our daughter and her fiance, they got engaged the day before the fire. So unfortunately, they had all sorts of great plans on New Year's Eve to be able to basically promote that they're getting married. But unfortunately, the fire basically took that over. And then my son there, and my son's girlfriend. There's me trudging through the ashes over there on the left, trying to find some personal possessions like my wedding ring, which I was not successful in doing. And here's what it looked like in regards to what ended up happening. We had a tank of gasoline in the garage. Undoubtedly, the gasoline got a little hot and then probably vaporized and then exploded and basically pushed bricks out to the street. But we were in this home for about 20 years. We had less than 20 minutes to leave. We left immediately with our computers, very limited clothing, medications, and our 3 dogs. Likewise, my daughter and her fiance, and son and his girlfriend, they each had dogs. They left also. When we left, we didn't think that our home would be affected. We couldn't have been more wrong in the whole circumstance. So the picture on the left, there are a number of pictures, luckily, that we were able to find, including our wedding album that got a little charred. But there's our daughter when she was probably 5, playing the princess that she still is. So shortly after the fire, we began the process to build an idea home, and that's what this is all about today. Whoops. So I really, really thrilled that we have a top flight design team that's working with us. First off, we have Danielian Associates in Irvine, California. They practice, they're licensed to be architectural services in 40 states and about 20 countries outside the United States. We're really thrilled to be able to have Barbara Barton. She came out of retirement. For those of you who know Barbara, she's been trying to retire for years, but she finally did. And then the fire happened and she came out of retirement. She's helping us with a lot of different things in the home, that being bathrooms, pantries, laundry room, closets, owner's entry, I don't have on here is the wine room in the basement. That's my wife's favorite room. But Barbara is a certified master kitchen and bath designer through the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and she is CLIP graduate #4. So she was in our very, very first training. And then likewise, the kitchen design work, that's been done by Maria Stapper-Fenny. Many of you know who she is. She is a longtime NKBA member. She was the last national president of the NKBA, and she's out of Millington, New Jersey. And then lastly, lighting plans and some interior design work is being done by Jay Morrow here in Denver, Colorado. He's with Urban Lights. It's an amazing lighting store here. And we're also really privileged to have a wonderful promotion team, that being S. Robert August. Robert is a longtime National Association of Home Builders member. Robert is year after year after year after year after year the Spike Award winner. That's the person who's able to bring in the most new members, as well as helping maintain current members. Robert has been instrumental out here in Colorado and a number of other states on real estate development to a tune of about 40 billion with a B dollars. He also has done a number of open houses and idea homes and model homes across the Front Range here in Colorado. We've got Mark Samuelson, who's helping us with promotion and publicity. Danny Polidor, who's aboard with us today. Danny's basically, she's my VP of sales and marketing. Barbara Barton's been helping as well along the way. I mentioned Danili and Associates. They're going to be helping promote our home, especially through architectural channels. And then our partner companies, which I'll get into here in a little bit. So this is, my wife wanted to have a Tuscan style home for years and years. And obviously the fire gave us the opportunity to be able to do it. So this is more or less what our home is going to look like. I mean, there's still some things that we're doing aesthetic wise to basically try to make it so that it's more what she wants it to be. But you know, there's some unique things here. It looks like there's a step into the house, but there is not. There's no threshold into the house. The two garage doors, the one on the left is, instead of the normal 16-foot wide garage door, it's 18 foot to be able to allow more easily getting cars in and out, but also be able to give more space for people to get into the cars if they're parked next to each other. So just here's what the first floor looks like. I'm not going to get into much detail here, but we are hopefully just a few weeks away from being able to submit for permit. It's been, every time we turn around, it seems like we take one step forward and sometimes two steps back. Sometimes it's two steps forward, one step back, but we're getting very close to finishing our design work. And this is the second floor again. I'll show some other pictures as we go into it. As I mentioned, all elevations to the home have no steps, which is proving to be a bit of a challenge, but nonetheless, that's what we wanted to be able to do. That means the doors from the garage to the home to the garage, and then the door from the garage to the side path. Have no steps and no thresholds. And then we have gradual 120 grade walkways with a shallow side-to-side grading, just to be able to make it so it's easy. Hopefully, I never have to use a wheelchair, but nonetheless, or my wife or anybody else, but nonetheless, we want to prepare for that in the future. We have covered entries not only at the front, but also the rear deck has a balcony, basically a covered area there, which actually doubles as a balcony off of the primary bedroom. And that's for us to be able to sit out on. But again, if there is indeed, hopefully this never happens again, but another fire emergency, we have that to be able to go out onto. So some of the exterior features, obviously I don't want to go through having to rebuild again. It may not have been a one-off sort of thing. Last year, what ended up happening was we had really wet spring, and then we went to a very dry summer and fall into early winter. Boulder had less rain, less precipitation the last half of last year than did Death Valley. That gives you an idea as to how bad it was here. And then the spring, all of our grass here just grew very high, and then it just dried out. And that's what more or less allowed the fire to be able to progress real fast. So we're doing things like stucco siding, eaves, and soffits. That's to be able to, again, prevent the embers from flying up against the house and be able to start the wood that may be on the outside of the house on fire. We're also using stone-coated steel barrel roofing. We're going to a conditioned attic, and I know some of you may not know what that means, but basically what it means is that there's no venting through the roof other than plumbing. And what ends up happening is you actually end up putting insulation underneath the roof sheathing. And now you can be able to put vents through the attic down to individual rooms. So it makes it very easy to be able to deal with HVAC. Instead of having wood or a composite deck, we're going to pour concrete. The fencing that comes up to the house stucco, it's either going to be cementatious paneling like hardy board or aluminum boards mounted onto metal rails and posts. And then all vegetation is going to be at least 7 feet away from the property. We had some very large trees that either overhung our property or the house or touched it, if you will. And obviously that's all gone. I don't want to deal with that again. You're going to see me, excuse me, I'm going to list out a number of our partners that we're working with in regards to some of the features that are in the home. The first one is the interior and hinged garage doors. Those are all being done by Arizona Windows and Doors. The front door, this is what you see there is about what our front door is going to look like. That's coming from Iron Door Works. Go-ahead doors. We have yet to figure out which company we're going to work with. Excuse me for a second. Automated door openers. There's a neat company called AutoSlide that either will push a patio door sideways or lift windows up. They also have automatic door openers. All doors will have door levers, obviously. Door sizes inside the house that are passageway or to the garage or from the garage are 36-inch wide solid core doors. The front door that I just showed you, that's going to be a 6-foot wide door. There's 2 individual doors that are 36 inches wide. And then the rear deck from the kitchen, a nice wide 9-foot door. And then balcony, likewise, it's a 6-foot sliding door. And then again, really important, no bottom door thresholds, that all interior doors and the exterior doors, they were using the drop-down door seals from Pemco. The front door will have a very, very, very shallow threshold with gradual sloping threshold. Meaning when I say that, it's about 4 inches going up to 3/8 inch high threshold. That door, you just can't do it without a threshold, but it's so gradual that it's so easy to go over it with a wheelchair. All doors swing away from a room unless there is another way into the area, which is like in the primary bedroom closet area. There's 2 doors that go into it. Yes, those doors swing in, but if somebody fell against one of those other doors, it's easy to be able to help somebody if they had fallen against that door. The door from the house to the garage will have electricity routed to it to allow for an automatically opening garage of that door mechanism. Windows. My wife wanted to have an abundance of windows in her home. And now she's starting to realize that what that means is I don't have many places to put pictures in certain areas. But the nice thing about that is it allows the wonderful Colorado sunshine to come in and bathe especially the south-facing rooms, which would be the great room and the kitchen area, and then upstairs, the primary bed and bath area. But all operable windows, rather, are casement single lever locking windows with a sill 26 inches off the finished floor, and all at least 2.5 feet wide and at least 4 feet tall. Again, we still have to deal with fire egress. And all the fire egress windows are at least 5 feet tall. So it's very easy to get in and out of the house as necessary for able-bodied people. Whoops, I'm sorry. We're also going to have light wells in the basement for 3 different areas, because again, we wanted to have a lot of light coming into what normally can be a very dark area. All of our windows have UV coatings. They're filled with argon gas. And one of the unique things that we're working with our Anlin windows is they have unique windows that what they do is they use different thicknesses of glass to help minimize sound transmission through the windows. So that again, we don't live right next to a busy street, but there are streets nearby and loud motorcycles and trucks. And the nice thing about being able to have those windows will help deaden more of that noise. Window covers, we're really thrilled to be working with Hunter Douglas. Their US facility is here in Broomfield, Colorado, about 5 miles away from where we live. And so they're going to be powered smart window blinds with the motor housings recessed into the framing. So really the only thing you see is a slot coming through the window frame, the top of the window that is, to come down and back up again. And all controlled by smart technology. Our partners in the home, and from an electrical standpoint, I'm going to talk a little bit about Span.io. They make a unique circuit breaker panel. Square D, many of you are familiar with them. Swidget and Rex solar panel. So first off, all the outlets will be at least 24 inches above the floor, unless under windows or other areas that prevent that from happening. With wall switches, again, at no higher than 44 inches off the floor, both to be able to make it easy for somebody who's in a walker or a wheelchair to be able to operate. So here's a picture of the Span.io load center, they call it. It's a circuit breaker panel. What ends up happening here is you have normal circuit breakers, but behind the circuit breakers are, if you will, smart relays that can be turned off remotely by your phone. Okay, so that again, if somebody's working, they want to add a cascade an outlet to another outlet, it's very easy for them to do by just going to the phone, turning it off, and the power is turned off immediately. The other neat thing about these panels is it will tell you how much power consumption is being done for that specific circuit breaker. On top of that, we're going to be going with solar panel with a battery. If there is a power failure, that circuit breaker panel is programmed to turn off non-essential items throughout the house, because if there is a power failure, I may not need to go into the basement. And if I do, I can always turn lights back on again or whatever down there. Swidget. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Swidget, but Swidget is this company that makes these unique outlets and switches, as you can see in the bottom right. For the outlets, you have this recession there that these various modules that are circling it right now can be installed into it. And so some of the things that it can do is to monitor temperature and be able to control various items through it. And then humidity, say in a bathroom, you want to be able to have a fan turn on for a certain period of time once it senses that humidity levels over a certain level, certain humidity. It'll also sense for particulate matter. It'll control lights, outlets, dimming, and HVAC and other features. These are quite unique devices, and we're really thrilled to be working with them because they want to do a case study on our home as to what should be done in regards to using smart devices like this. We're also working with REC Group. They make solar panels and supply batteries for homes. The unique thing about this company is they make their solar panels here in the United States. All right, so laundry room features. Okay, so this is what our laundry room rendition is going to look like. So first off, we are really thrilled to be working with LG Appliances in our laundry room, along with Rev-A-Shelf and DryerBox. DryerBox is what you see on the right. Many times people have a challenge getting that dryer pushed all the way as close to the wall as possible because that hose is in the way. Here it's a recessed box. It goes back into a 2x6 construction that we have to use to be able to allow that dryer to go more flush to the wall. And then in the laundry room, Rev-A-Shelf, they're doing a lot of different things with us in regards to cabinet slides, drawer organization, clothes rods, drop down clothes rods, things like that. Flooring, first and second floor flooring. We're going to be using luxury vinyl flooring with a dynamic coefficient of friction of at least 0.6 with low VOCs. This is something I just learned recently, that yes, luxury vinyl tiling is great, but some of them have relatively high VOCs coming off of them. So we're sourcing ones that do indeed have low levels of that. We're going to be using low profile rugs without padding on the family room, dining room, foyer, second floor bedrooms, things of that sort. Again, these will not have any padding underneath it. It's just basically a oriental sort of rugs that's going there. Again, that's what my wife wanted to have, but again, they're so low. But we're also going with low profile carpet runners on the floor hallway and the second floor stairs. We have dogs and they tend to like to run real fast, and without having something for them to have traction, they're just a sliding mess. In bathrooms, likewise, the tiles that we're going to be using, same sort of DCOF of at least 6. In the primary bath, there'll be heated flooring, that being in the water closet, the common area, and then the shower base seat and seat back in that shower area. Whoops, sorry. And then the basement is most likely going to be carpeting in the common areas, and then the bathroom will be tiles. The wine room, this is the room my wife is looking forward to most, is having like rustic tile flooring. All hallways and stairways will have at least 42-inch wide passageways, some even wider. Both stairways going from first to second floor and first to basement will have railings on both sides, and the railing will extend beyond the top and bottom of the stairs at least 12 inches where feasible. Again, sometimes we just can't do that. And there's provisions that have been made in the home to allow for both stairless and pre-wired for both power and communications for an elevator that'll be in the stairway shaft. Oh, sorry, this is overlapping that, but nonetheless, this is the water closet features. And again, some of our partners on that: Toto USA, Swidget, Panasonic Ventilation, Delta Brizo Faucets, and Seachrome. So here's the powder room. And we wanted to design the powder room to allow for somebody who's coming over, whether to stay with us or just to visit, have a room that they can easily get in and out of. And that circle that you see there is a 60-inch circle. And so you can see that there's more than 60-inch access area for somebody to be able to get onto and off of the toilet relatively easily. The picture you see at the bottom, there is a sink here that's going to be mounted to the wall via this wood platform here. So it's very easy for somebody in a wheelchair to go over it. We have the faucet off to the side so that it doesn't spray at them. And this is going to be a grab bar here, if they so choose to need to have some extra support there. Wall-mounted toilet. The whole purpose of a wall-mounted toilet is to, again, give us that extra space in that room, because the toilet tanks can easily add up, take away another 10 to 12 inches there. Grab bars by Seachrome behind the toilet, and then to the side of it with, again, a vertical rod here. This is becoming more, this is part of the new ADA, that you have to have a vertical grab bar to be able to help you pull yourself up, because it's a lot easier to pull yourself this way than to have your arm like that. So I think I've mentioned most everything in here. Oh yeah, this both the primary closet, water closet, and the powder room will have Swidget occupancy sensing. So when you roll in, it turns the lights on and will stay on for a period of time, at least 5 minutes after you leave it. They will be dimmable time switches, and then we also have Panasonic occupancy sensing vent fans. So here's a busy area here. That's the primary bath. And what's being shown here down at the bottom is the water closet. Same thing. We're trying to give ourselves a lot of space to be able to allow for a wheelchair to come in here, along with a wall-mounted toilet with the grab bars to the side and the back of it. A supply area here so that toilet paper and other towels, things of that sort, will be in here. This door swings out. All the doors, again, 36 inches wide, to be able to make it easy to go in and out. My wife wanted to have a soaking tub. She takes a bath every night, but nonetheless, we also have a curbless pan from Quick Drain USA here for the steam shower area. We chose to go with the steam shower solely because Colorado in the wintertime, it's very, very dry here. And having steam there will help with sinuses. My wife sometimes has sinus challenges, along with hopefully helping moisturize our skin. It'll also have aromatherapy in it, just to be able to, again, give that sense of wellness. In the shower will be a rain head, along with side jets, and then a detachable shower wand over here. There is a controller back right over here that allows us to be able to say which head we want to operate and what temperature we want to be at. Here is a grab bar with a towel rail underneath it, so that, again, we don't like to put towels right onto a grab bar, because if you need to grab it, you may end up grabbing the towel, and you and the towel may be on the floor. There is a fireplace here for supplemental heat. One of the things I'll talk about a little later is that we're required to electrify our home. And so this is an electric fireplace, but wanted to be able to have supplemental heating in here. The vanity here is actually two separate vanities. One is going to be at 36 inches. The other is at 32 inches. This one over here is the 32-inch. The doors on this one actually swing out and then slide back in to allow somebody in a wheelchair to go easily underneath it. All of the sinks that we're choosing to use, the drains are towards the rear of it. And instead of having a P-trap right immediately underneath the toilet, next to the sink, what's going to end up happening is it's going to be a pipe that's going to bring it back to the wall. And then the P-trap is going to be parallel to the wall, so that, again, we get a lot more access and not have to worry too much about somebody hitting that P-trap as they're rolling in. All right. And then there's a very large closet around here, a lot more than we used to have. But again, having that access of at least 42 inches in here to be able to allow somebody to be able to roll through it. So here's what, again, a rendition of what the bathroom would look like. There's the fireplace with the stone wall, arched ways, and then here's the steam shower. I have a lot of great companies that we're working with. I've mentioned some of them, where the faucets are coming from Delta Brizo, Napoleon Fireplaces, SunTouch heated flooring, and then Steam Mist steam showers. Again, I mentioned quick drain. The shower is a 6-foot by 4-foot shower, with a door that's 28 inches wide. I know, like a wheelchair, it should be wider than that. But for a roll-in shower chair, they're typically about 24 inches wide. And so that should be more than sufficient to allow one to go in there. All the lines are on interior walls here, instead of on an exterior wall. We do get cold here from time to time, or these pipes will go through the conditioned attic, again, to prevent freezing. I've known too many homes in the area that when we have been like 20 below zero here, that their pipes have indeed frozen. Let's see, I think I've covered all of these. Oh yeah, well, the drawers and cabinets will all have Rev-A-Shelf equipment to better organize those areas. And in both the vanities, they'll have double gang outlet boxes inside the cabinets. That's to be able to power leak detectors, charging electric devices, things of that sort that we may want to have power down there. So, because my wife really doesn't like things on the counter, like, you know, the charger for your toothbrush, things of that sort. And then Swidget smart dimmable lighting present throughout the bathroom. This also includes RGB lighting, the chandelier over the soaking tub, wall sconces next to the mirror, all operable by these devices. There'll also be Seachrome grab bars around the bathroom. And we're going to be putting blocking in behind the wall, because we just don't necessarily know right now where these devices may end up going. Steam Mist, again, the Steam Mist shower controller, it's great because it will allow us to control 3 different water features, along with the aromatherapy and then setting the temperature for people. Primary closet, again, we have some elevated clothes rods. So we have pivotable clothes rods that can bring elevated clothing down to a lower level. There's going to be a pull-out mirror in there because, again, we're trying to optimize the space. Belt holder, tilt-out clothing hampers, slide-outs, wire baskets, and easily accessible and adequate shoe and boot storage. Okay. All right. So the kitchen. It's a little smaller kitchen than we had before, but previously we did not have a pantry, so that makes up for it. The ceilings here are 10 feet. And so all of the top cabinets are going to be just basically knickknacks and things of that sort with lighting in the cabinets. But there will also be lighting underneath the cabinets and in the toe kicks around the perimeter here. We have a sink here where the drain is towards the back right of it. We can convert the cabinet there from a standard cabinet to one that one can roll under as necessary. We also have a induction cooktop. Again, as I mentioned, we have to go with being electrified, and that includes all the cooking. So there's that there. And actually, I'm really looking forward to using induction. I have a little induction cooker right now. It's nice for where we live, but it doesn't have quite the same power that that unit will have. On the right is their speed oven at the top, which combines convection, microwave, and radiant for intelligent heating. And for those of you who are familiar, like with the Monogram Advantium, you can put a chicken into that oven unheated, and 16 minutes later, it comes out properly cooked, not rubbery, with brown skin, and it's ready to go. And the bottom oven here, I do a lot of cooking, a lot of baking, and this oven here from Signature Kitchen Suite is actually a steam assist oven, so that when I want to make that nice crust for that baguette, I can just basically set it that way and have it go. So here's the same companies, except for Urban Lights. That's J. Morrow I mentioned earlier. The lighting we're going to be using is Tresco Lighting. Tresco is a division of Revachol, and they are really want to be able to, again, showcase their products in their home. So throughout the kitchen, and then we actually have a Brizo touch and voice operated sink faucets. So, when you're cooking and dealing with, say, especially something like chicken, you don't want to be touching that faucet with your hand. So I typically use like my elbow to turn it on and off. There'll be a Delta pot filler behind the stove, the LK undermounted sink with a stainless steel drain positioned to the rear with removable cutting board, drying rack, and strainer. And then again, I always like to have the biggest possible garbage disposal I can get. And so we're getting one that's a little bit, I think it's 1.1 horsepower from InSinkErator. That's really, really quiet. So I'm looking forward to having that in there also. Dishwasher, we're raising the dishwasher off the floor. Many of you know from our training, that's one of the things we do talk about, is that the best person to lift the dishwasher door is a toddler because it's so close to the floor. And for someone who's using a walker, and most people, if you ever watch them, their fingers they're holding on to that walker for dear life. And so they usually see their white knuckles. And for them to have to reach down while they're holding on to their walker at the same time trying to pull the door up is a real challenge. So we are moved the dishwasher up, and then adjacent to the dishwasher will be a drawer that will basically have where all the plates and bowls go to, so that you're not having to reach up above your shoulders. I had both my shoulders reconstructed in the last decade, and they still complain sometimes when I'm lifting heavy things above my shoulders. All of them will have full extensions, soft close drawers, except for we have cabinets for the sinks and the corner cabinet there. Revachol, there's going to be a Lazy Susan, and then the upper cabinets from Revachol are the pull down shelves so that we can easily reach those items. All pulls on these will have either C or D handles, as I've snagged my shorts on so many things. Yeah, especially the place that we're living right now, the rental, it has open D handles, open-ended D handles. And I can't tell you how many times I've snagged myself on it. Cooktop, 36 inches convection. I mentioned this combination speed oven, steam assist. We actually are having a 30-inch column refrigerator, 30-inch column freezer, and an 18-inch column refrigerator, all from Signature Kitchen Suite, along with 24-inch under-counter refrigerators over our bar area. I don't, for those of you who like soft ice, I call it chiclet ice. We have a countertop ice maker that's going over to the bar area from GE Profile, the Opal ice maker. And then my wife, I don't drink coffee, but my wife does. And so that's where the Breville Barista espresso maker is going. So here's the espresso maker, here's the ice maker, and then here's the double drawers for that. Again, the top drawer, top cabinets here, those are just going to be knickknacks. Here is where we store glasses and also china. All these will be open panels, and there'll be lighting inside the cabinets to really showcase what those items are. Pantry, again, as I mentioned, we didn't have a pantry before. We have one now, but it's probably all of about 5 feet by 5 feet, which is okay in a rental unit, but we want to have a lot more storage for things. So we have shelves that have adequate height to be able to deal with taller items like Mixmaster, food processor, rice cooker, Instant Pot, crock pots of that sort. There's also storage there for a podium step ladder. And those of you who are not familiar with podium step ladders, they're the ones when you get to the top platform, there's a rail that comes up to more or less like mid-abdomen so that you're at least holding on to something while you're trying to reach. Again, sometimes it's not a good thing for some people to be using a ladder. I get that. But until that point in time, hopefully I will never fall off of a ladder inside my house. And there's also storage there for vacuum cleaner, mops, brooms, and like. Overall lighting, again, can lighting throughout the home, under stairway steps from Tresco, hallway floor lights upstairs, about 20 inches off the floor. And this is where there's an interesting separation of form versus function. My wife gets the form, although I sometimes will veto what she wants to do because I just can't see having it. I have the function aspect. And so the decorative lighting is all hers. The functional is like, okay, do I have enough light intensity? Is it the right color temperature? Things of that sort. We're also having outdoor lighting, not only a time pathway lighting, but also front porch and rear covered deck. But one of the things that we're also doing, because I see a lot of houses where I live right now that have the lights underneath the eaves that they change based upon the season. Like Halloween, it was orange lighting, and then Thanksgiving, it was again orange and red lighting. Now it's red, white, and blue, and all sorts of different colors. And then obviously Valentine's Day, you go back to red, and then for 4th of July, you can just basically make it be fireworks underneath your eaves. So we're doing that as well. I mentioned earlier we're having to electrify our house. That's part of all the International Energy Conservation Code for 2021. And these are prescriptive features that are part of that. So our walls have to be at least 2 by 6 or better exterior framing. And then different levels of insulation these are a lot more than what they used to be, like R60 ceilings. Our old house was 39, R39, so it is much thicker. Again, the intention here is to be able to limit the energy loss out of the home. We're also dealing, as I mentioned, with that conditioned attic, which again should make it much nicer in regards to keeping that attic cool during the summer and at least somewhat warm in the winter. And we're also supposed to have at least one vehicle charging station. And we're getting that through the folks at Span.io. And so here's some of the companies along with Mitsubishi Electric. Mitsubishi Electric is supplying us heat pumps along with ceiling cassettes for where it's more difficult to get HVAC through. So again, what we're doing is we're actually we don't have furnaces, they're called forced air units now. And so we have one that controls the first and basement floors, and then another one for the second floor. So we can have that possibility of having multiple thermostats throughout the entire home. We also are putting in steam humidification because again, it gets really dry out here. And so things like your cuticles and your skin get really, really dry throughout the winter. So we can't use bypass, and furthermore, bypass isn't a really good way of humidifying your home because it allows all sorts of things to grow in that water. If you're familiar with bypass, what it is you basically drip water over an element that allows the warm air going past it to evaporate the water to be able to send through your home. But again, if you've ever seen like the drain lines out of those, they're usually covered with all sorts of grungy sort of colored material. We're also putting in air filtration system to be able to, again, make it so that we have better air quality in the home. We get a lot of smoke from fires that are either on the western slope of Colorado or even from California, Washington, Montana, Oregon, and Utah that's blowing up here. And to be able to allow us to have good fresh air makeup, we're putting in a Panasonic energy recovery unit. So basically in the summertime, when you're basically pulling air out of the house, you go through a heat exchanger to be able to cool the air that's coming back into the house. So you're not heating that all the way back up again. And then vice versa in the wintertime, when you're pushing the warm air out of the house in the wintertime, the cool air is going past it and that's getting warmed as well. Connected technology, Control4, Swidget, Ring Security, Ratio. Listen Up, that's a company that's doing our system integration, Caregiver Smart Solutions. Control4 is for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they are a if you will, like a smart speaker on steroids. They do a lot more features than what you can do with just say a Echo system or Google or Apple system. Swidget, as I mentioned before, have these unique modules, and there's all sorts of things you can do with those. Security system along with doorbell and like Ratio, that's a sprinkler system because we out here have to be careful with how much water we use. And then Caregiver Smart Solutions, they are a company was founded by one of our graduates, Ryan Hurd, that does predictive analysis on is mom basically starting to change her gait as she walks through her home without cameras, and how that is done. Let's see down here. Well, how it's done for Caregiver Smart Solutions is that it puts these little monitoring devices into outlets, and it basically is monitoring how that person is affecting the Wi-Fi signal as that individual is walking through their home. So if that person's used to take 10 seconds to go from the bedroom to the kitchen, and now they're taking like 25 seconds, it may be an indication that their gait has changed or their balance isn't all that great. It's probably a good time to get them in to see a doctor or a physical therapist to be able to find out if something else needs to happen. With our home, we're going to have gig Wi-Fi, but we're also going to have multiple what's called WLAN, basically wide area network access points. Instead of trying to have just one router control everything, which then ends up getting clogged, you have multiple access points through the home that are hardwired through Ethernet to the router itself. We'll have a sound system through the home because, again, we like to listen to music or whatever. And then we have various smart scenarios like an emergency panic event where all the lighting turns on automatically. Then there is nighttime subdued lighting in the bathroom area to be able to allow somebody to be able to go to and from the bed safely. And then at home, away from home sort of lighting scenarios and many other sort of scenarios that are out there, along with having a security system in place. Wow, okay, I'm running about out of time here, so I'm glad that I'm here right now. We're working with our partners to showcase some of their newest products. The neat thing about our home is we can update the home with their, if they come out with a new model that they want to have put into our home, which really is a neat way for our partners to be able to showcase their products. There are so many other features in the home that I just can't do in the course of 1 hour. I probably need 3 hours at least to go through it. So I know there's been a number of chats that have gone up here. Danny, hopefully you've been monitoring them along the way, but I'm going to turn it over to Danny right now. Oh, excuse me. I have a couple more slides. One is we're promoting the Living in Place Institute Idea Home through the existing livinginplace.institute website, and then a customer-facing howtoliveinplace.com site. And that site is going to more or less have all of our videos and photos archived there so people can come to them to see what's going on. There'll also be a database there of the products that we're using in the home. We're using multiple social media platforms because they each have different purposes. We're going to be putting out press releases and articles to trade publications. That's nothing new for us. Then one of the neat things we're going to be doing along the way is having milestone events like, geez, the foundation it's been poured, it's ready, or to the roofing is being put on, to all the way through to open houses. And then there's going to be a completion video of the entire house, which will be narrated by myself and my wife, Judy, to highlight our partners' products and the installations. So stay tuned. We'll probably be talking about more of these items in future community forums. So Danny, I'm going to let you take it from there. I'll advance the slides for you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with the chat questions though. So Andrea was the last question. She's asking you, Louis, if you have any hacking protection for your smart appliances. Her husband won't let her connect the smart appliances since he works from home and he doesn't want his work computer compromised.
Well, there's a couple ways to go about doing that. Obviously, some people end up having multiple Wi-Fi networks, if you will, in their home off of their router. Many routers will allow you to be able to set up a separate network so that it's not going to be able to go back out to the Wi-Fi network that's out there. The other approach, again, it's only good if you're doing like a new home, is to do hard wiring. But unfortunately, many appliances don't, at least the appliances that we're getting are not Ethernet capable. There are other devices that we are using that are Ethernet. And so we will route those cables to those. But again, that would be my suggestion, is to establish an open network, if you will, that your guests can use and your appliances and other features can use as well.
Awesome. And then Paul suggested that you switch the steam oven to be on the top, because if you open the steam oven while it's activated, it can burn your face when you open the oven. Obviously, a lot of that is with your body placement and learning how to be away from the appliance and not lean towards any type of hot appliance. But what are your thoughts on his suggestion there?
I would love to be able to do that. Unfortunately, Signature Kitchen Suite only has the steam assist oven on the bottom. They don't really use a lot. It's not like a steam oven itself where you can cook vegetables and like in a steam environment. It is just a steam assist. And so it's injecting it in there at near the end of baking. But I do appreciate what you're saying there. For most part, I would love to have seen us to be able to get, say, French door oven at the bottom. But from Signature Kitchen Suite, that's not an option. But nonetheless, the door will swing down with a very long slide out rail or rack. And so hopefully that would minimize the circumstance of the steam coming out. I mean, I run into this from time to time, like cooking baked potatoes. And when you open the oven up, with one that tilts down, very commonly it's going to go straight up, and there's usually condensation that I see on the frame of the oven, the microwave above it. Unfortunately, there's never a great way. The other thing is just to not use the steam assist.
Right. So Margie suggested that you check out Healthy Building Network and the CEH Center for Environmental Health regarding vinyl production, flooring, and content for the alternatives to LVTs.
Very good. Appreciate it. Will do.
Excellent. So I don't know if you guys want a show of hands, but who was at KBIS 2023? We had an awesome time. We are there again. It's going to be in Vegas for the near future and is now co-located with 3 different shows, including the decorative hardware and plumbing show on top of it. I did put in the chat the promo code for everybody who wants to invite people. There is a contest, so please spread the Living in Place promo code that you see there. And Louis, next slide. Here's just some of the fun that we had last year. We got to meet George Oliphant from George to the Rescue. We were overwhelmed with our CLIP graduates who are in ASID, NKBA, NAHB, NAR, LMNOP, XYZ leadership all over. You guys are out there representing, and we couldn't be more grateful. So anybody who does not have their CLIP certification yet, we would love to welcome you to the fold. Aaron Gould is on the call. He's one of our most recent graduates, and we're looking forward to welcoming more graduates in 2023. We realize that it's busy to invest 16 hours, but becoming part of this Cool Kids Club is invaluable. So another thing that we're looking for is your pictures, your images. We're really getting a lot more dialed into social media. As Louis said, there's a young lady from Denilian who cannot wait to talk about Living in Place Institute standards and promoting this sort of lifestyle. Go ahead with the next slide.
So Danny, the date here was 2023, but we're not in that show yet.
No, I know this is upcoming, but I'm just showing how much fun we had in 2022. So
Yeah.
And another thing is Bill Darcy gave Louis a shout out since Louis showed up 6 weeks after becoming homeless and having moved twice in those 6 weeks and really just having had the clothes on his back, as you had heard earlier. We are also looking for, and again, my phone number is there if you wanted to call or text me, 585-474-5677, or email me at danny@livinginplace.institute. If anybody wants to volunteer some of their time in the booth space, that would be super appreciated. And we are also running a promotion for the clip. So call me or text me or email me for that promo code. Until the end of the year, you can get to 20% off. If you have 5 or more people, then you can get 25% off for the group. So we'd love to see you there. We had a nice end cap display. This year, we're going to be really close to signature kitchen suites, which will be fun. And we're really excited about another robust show with lots of voices, people, and a lot of leadership, again, with NKBA, ASID, NAR, NAHB. So definitely take advantage of checking out all 3 shows. It's definitely worth the trip. And Chris is also here from Japan. So we look forward to finally connecting and seeing each other in person again. It will be wonderful to have a reunion. We are also planning, and look out in your email inbox, that we're going to be having some meetups during the week. We realize everybody's time is valuable and that you're really busy, but we will definitely make it worth your while to connect and do some fun things together.
So I put this on here also, Danny, so that if you want to register for free, just go to kbiz.com. And then when you register, there's that code again.
Fantastic.
So,
and then Connie wanted to know if the presentation is going to be available. We're going to have this up on YouTube in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it takes a little while to do the editing, although I don't think I'm gonna have to do much editing. Let's see, there's a few other questions here. One is the dates of KBIS in Vegas. And again, as Danny mentioned, it's more than KBIS, it's the International Builder Show, as well as the National Hardware Show. It's the first time that those 3 shows are together. Las Vegas Convention Center during the pandemic added another convention hall, that being the West Hall. That's where we're going to be. And so it freed up some space in the South Hall to allow the National Hardware Show to go on. The dates are January 31st, February 1st, and 2nd.
And there's also events happening before and after. There's also at the same time in the area going to be the furniture show at the design center. And as well, there's going to be the covering show at Mandalay Bay. So there's actually 5 shows in town that week. So book your hotel rooms, find a roommate, figure out how to get there. If you know people in Vegas, go room with them. But it should be a fun time and time well spent, and tons of CE opportunities with the voices of the industry presentations. And when you buy your pass, you'll actually be able to get all of the CLIP graduates courses that are recorded as well. Louis and the gang are doing one recorded and one live and in person. So I know Erin is a presenter as well, with Christy from my home chapter, Central New York, shout out. And yeah, so if anybody has any questions, let us know. And Patricia wrote, I'm refurbishing a project that is historic, mid-century, the multi-levels and the limited space. Please do call me about that, Patricia, because I too just bought a 1962 house that I closed on yesterday, and there are steps and challenges, but there are ways to get around that. I've had clients that have suffered with MS And they also lived in a mid-century home, and we figured it out for them. So I'd love to chat with you. As you all know, I'm always available. I love hearing from you. You can call me on the 1-800 number that's on the Living in Place Institute website, or directly on my cell. Either way, I get the calls.
All right, so Andrea has, let's see, not Andrea, there's a question here regarding any guesstimate on cost of all the upgrades over typical costs. I'm figuring there's probably about a 2 to 4% increase in the cost. But when you start looking at the cost of moving into assisted living, where most people don't want to be, it's, assisted living, let's say just if you were to remodel a bathroom, and in many cases, it's difficult to be able to make a bathroom appropriate, once it's been built, because you have structural issues or size limitation issues. A lot of bathrooms are a simple 5-foot by 8-foot. And it's really difficult to be able to make it so that it's appropriately accessible. But some cases, if you had an existing home, you may not be able to make that place, fully living in place wise. And there is going to be, for our house, we're having to lower the foundation to be able to accommodate the fact that my house previously had 3 steps into it, along with an 8-foot basement. We're going to a 9-foot basement. And so in essence, we're having to lower the foundation by 3 feet and then adding in, because it's not new development construction, it's development, a new home on an existing lot, and the sewer line, I can't lower that. And so what we're having to do is to put in a ejection pit for the waste lines in the basement, so that it's being pumped up to where the sewer line is at its own grade. But I'm figuring that with what we're doing in the home, under normal circumstances, it would be about a 2 to 4% increase.
And then it's priceless, the energy savings that you're going to realize, especially with a heat pump. So some of these items, they cost more at the beginning, but then at the end, you're saving the environment, you're saving that big dent in your wallet too.
Yeah, for those who aren't really familiar with heat pumps, they basically move heat from one area to another. So wintertime, maybe a little bit of a challenging concept of moving heat from the outside in, but there is indeed heat in the air outside, and that you can extract from it and bring it inside. But for example, we have to go through what's called a HERS rating, which is a home energy savings sort of thing, to be able to understand the energy impact that our house has. And they look at the number of exterior doors, the number of windows, the type of windows that are being put in, along with what you're doing for makeup air, along with your heating device and heating cooling device. And so, for example, in our home, for the summer months where we do get into the 100s occasionally, what they estimated for the heat pump power requirement, we would be paying $82 for the entire cooling season to do air conditioning in our home. And I can guarantee you right now that our utility bills last summer, before the natural gas prices really started to skyrocket, were probably each month about $250 at least per month. But again, it's a better way to be able to go about not only heating your home, but also dealing with making hot water. In essence, what a heat pump does is that for every 1,000 watts you put into it, you get 3,000 watts out. So it's kind of like hocus pocus how it works for some people.
Great return on investment. And just like induction cooking, it's been really slow to be adopted, but now that it's tipping, I think people really understand the value in it. And Andrea's asking if you have a humidifier in it. You did mention something about humidity management.
Yeah, we're going with individual steam humidification systems for the zones on the first and basement, and a different one for the second floor, because one of the challenges, the house we're currently living in is kind of similar to where we're at right now, but it only has one furnace. And the second floor in the summertime, it just does not have enough oomph, if you will, to not only cool the first floor of the basement, but to get it to the second floor. It's a challenge getting that cool air up here. And so, you know, even with the air conditioning running in the summertime, I had a fan running again near me to be able to help keep me cool. And so by having a forced air unit on basically in the basement, taking care of the first and second floor, and then another one on the second floor, dealing with just the second floor, I think we'll be able to have a better control of heating and cooling throughout the entire home.
Awesome. So at this point, we're going to end the formal part, and anybody who wants to unmute themselves, raise their hand, give a shout out, talk, chat, we will be here to talk to you. And we appreciate everybody showing up this morning. We do realize that for the Pacific Coast and Japan, that it's late and early at the same time, but thank you, Chris, for always showing up with your gorgeous smile. And you're muted, so we can't hear you.
But before we go, Danny, the next community forum, we're not going to hold one in January because there's a lot happening between now and KBIS, but the next one is February 9th at 10 a.m. We're working to schedule many of the partners of the Idea Home to present at these forums. So just stay tuned.
The 8th, it's the Wednesday.
Oh, it's the 8th.
Yes.
Yes, thank
I
you.
put
Wrong
it
calendar.
in the chat. So again, Louis and I are going to hang out. So anybody who wants to chat and stay, please feel free to unmute, raise your hand, shout out, chat. Love to hear from you.
So
how you
I'm
do.
going to stop the recording. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We look forward to seeing you either at KBIS or at the next community forum.